Hey guys, how's it going? MegaLugia here, bringing you another competitive guide, this time around Volcanion. Volcanion just got released into OU and I really wanted to do a guide around it. So if this sounds like something you'd be hyped for, something you're excited, drop a like, that'd be dope. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any other guides coming on the channel. So the way I like to do my guides is I like to go through the most in-depth, viable competitive sets that we have, and also maybe go through one set that isn't considered as competitive, but I still think can put in the work and catch your opponent off guard. Now, having said that, I am by no means the best competitive battler out there, but I do feel like I have an experience in what I'm doing, so it's up to you whether you want to take my advice or not. Now, with all that out the way, let's hop into the analysis. So, kicking it off with the basics, of course, Volcanion is a fire-water typing, a unique typing that we finally have gotten, and with that comes a lot of strengths and weaknesses. So, offensively, combining both your water and fire moves, you're super effective against ground, fire, rock, grass, steel, bug, and ice, so a lot of super effective coverage there, which is ideal. Defensively, you're weak against electric, ground, and rock. A few weaknesses, few common, but we can make that work. Offensively, you're resisted by water and dragon, and defensively, you can take hits from steel, fire, ice, fairy, and bug. So a lot of super effective coverage and a quite few amount of resistances, so it's looking pretty good for Volcanion right here. Continuing on with the basics, we're going to be taking a look at its stats. You can tell it's got the stats of a legendary when you take a look at it. Decent HP, good attack, good defenses on both sides allow you to take some hits, and that 130 special attack boost stands out and is really complementary to Volcanion. Of course, the speed at 70 is lacking a bit, but we can make that work if you use Volcanion the right way. Its ability Water Absorb means, of course, it's immune to water type hits, so now you have a great switch into Scald and fire type moves like Will-O-Wisp as well. So now for a basic overview of Volcanion, you're going to want to run it as a max special attack with a modest nature, taking full advantage of that 130 base stat, making sure you can hit as hard as possible. You're of course immune to water like I mentioned before, and that makes Scald useless against Volcanion. Speaking of Scald, I haven't even talking about its signature move, Steam Eruption. Oh my god, it's glorious. So Steam Eruption is basically Scald, but on steroids. Scald was such a spammable move because it was such a accessible move to water types and it had that 30% chance to burn. Steam Eruption is Hydro Pump with better accuracy and a 30% chance to burn. 110 base power, 95% accuracy, and that 30% chance to burn. Scald is old news. Scald is bye-bye. Scald is just so last week, am I right? And although one of the downsides to Volcanion is that it is a fire type, so it does have that weakness to Stealth Rock, so you want to take that into consideration when building around your team. But having said that, Volcanion does have good coverage, so any of the holds you might create by building around Volcanion can be molded with Volcanion's good move pool. So for the first set, and maybe one of the most common sets, especially now when people are testing out Volcanion, see what it's really like, is the Choice Specs Wallbreaker set. So you're going to be running 248 HP, full special attack, 8 in speed with a modest nature. So what that HP does is allow you to have an odd number so you take less damage from Stealth Rocks when switching in, max special attack obviously to hit as hard as possible, and 8 speed because other Volcanions might be running 4 speed, so you can run 8 to speed creep them and outspeed them. You're going to be running Fire Blast and Steam Eruption because they're your main stat moves and most powerful. Sludge Bomb or Sludge Wave to hit fairies, up to you whether you want that 30% chance to poison or that little bit more of damage output. Earth Power to hit opposing Volcanions, which otherwise could give you a bit of trouble, and Hidden Power Ice to hit dragons like Garchomp, Gliscor, well Gliscor's not a dragon, but you know what I mean, or Dragonite. So it's really up to you for the last move which one you want to run. The next set is going to be the Wallbreaker 2.0 set. Now what this set does is give you 120 HP, max attack with a 136 speed with a modest nature. So 136 speed allows you to outspeed max speed Adamant Azumarill, which can give you a bit of trouble, say if it wants to go for knockoff or play rough, although it is resisted. You want to be taking as little damage as possible with Volcanion, so this makes sure you can outspeed it. Moves are going to be Steam Eruption, Fire Blast or Flamethrower, up to you. In this case, Sludge Bomb or Sludge Wave, again up to you. And you can go for Earth Power up Substitute. Earth Power if you want to take out opposing Volcanions, and Substitute because now you know you outspeed Azumarill, so if you want to go for Substitute on their play rough or something like that, for example, you can choose to go for that, and now you're behind the sub and Volcanion can be a real scary threat. So this final set is going to be my personal favorite, which I like to call the Wallbreaker Sweep maybe set. So let me explain what we have right here. So we have 4 in attack, max special attack, max speed with a rash nature increasing your special attack and decreasing your special defense, because we're really looking to maximize your power output and potentially set up and sweep with Volcanion here. So the first move is Flame Charge, coming off that decent 110 physical attack stat with of course stab and that increase in speed to +1. So if you don't know, Flame Charge has 60 base power and increases your speed by +1. So what that does with this EV spread is allow you to speed base 110s like Latios and a Choice Scarf Landorus. Next move is going to be Steam Eruption, because you just have to run that move. Third move is either going to be Fire Blast or Earth Power. You can choose to avoid Fire Blast since you already have a stab move with Flame Charge, and you have Earth Power if you really want to be able to take on opposing Volcanions as well. Super Power, because as you can see here, we're mainly special, so the Sponge Chansey can wall you for days. Well, not for days, but it does have a really good chance to. So you can choose to run Super Power, which is a 2-hit KO on Chansey after Stealth Rock, so that's really nice to hear. I'm also including an item on this set that you might want to run, Life Orb, if you want that extra bit of damage, so you can definitely 2-hit KO Chansey without Stealth Rocks. Assault Vest if you do want to have some special defense to take hits. Leftovers if you want some gradual recovery. And as you can see here, I included a berry, which is essentially going to be one of the super effective reducing berries, either electric, rock, or ground, which I will get into more detail when we go into the damage calculations section of the video. But definitely this is my favorite set for Volcanion. People are not going to expect it, and it can really catch your opponent off guard and sweep. So now for some damage calcs. If you're choosing to run the spec set with the max special attack, you can OHKO or have a really high chance to OHKO Skarmory, Hippowdon, Ferrothorn, Heatran, MegaLugia, Mega Gardevoir, Kyurem Black, and both forms of Mega Charizard. So some of these are some really high tier walls in the threat, like Skarmory and Ferrothorn, which you can OHKO with a Fire Blast, Hippowdon and Heatran with a Steam Eruption, MegaLugia, Mega Gardevoir with the Sludge Bomb or Sludge Wave, Kyurem Black with a Fire Blast, and of course Steam Eruption for both forms of Megazard. Also, if you're running the spec set, you can pick up some crucial 2-hit KOs like Assault Vest Azumarill, Clefable, Latios, Keldeo, Rotom, Zygarde, Sylveon, Togekiss, Mega Slowbro, and Mega Sableye. And this is really impressive for some of them because they are resisted hits, like Latios with the Steam Eruption. Clefable and Azumarill would not resisted hits with your Sludge Bomb or Sludge Wave. Rotom, which resists your Steam Eruption, is 2 KO'd. Sylveon and Togekiss with your poison moves, and Mega Slowbro and Sableye with your Steam Eruption. So some really crucial 2-hit KOs which tip the favor in Volcanion's favor. So for these set of damage calcs, I'm going to be going through the Flame Charge scenario like I explained. So Flame Charge is obviously going to get you to that +1 speeds and allow you to outspeed base 110s. For example, Latios, Diancie, Mega Diancie, Gengar, Mega Metagross, and Mega Gallade. So Mega Metagross, for example, you can pick off with a Flame Charge, which does do super effective damage. You do have 110 base attack, and then you can proceed to outspeed it and KO it with your Steam Eruption. Same with the other mons like Gengar, Diancie, and Mega Gallade. Latios, you may not be able to 2-hit KO, but you will be able to after Stealth Rocks. Now the berry situation, like I explained, can really come in handy. So all of these are going to be for the respective berries, like reducing electric super effective hits, ground, and stone. You can take a Thunderbolt from a Specs Raikou, an Earthquake from a Banded Lando T, Mega Manectrix Thunderbolt, Banded T-Tar Stone Edge, Banded Garchamp's Earthquake, and a Mega Ampharos Thunderbolt. So a lot of these are ideal situations. For example, if you go for the Flame Charge, you can now outspeed Mega Ampharos, Banded Garchomp, Choice Scarf, T-Tar, and Choice Scarf Landor T, and proceed to, so you can take one of the hits and proceed to KO them back. Specs Raikou, you may not be able to outspeed unless it's modest, and Mega Manectric you won't be able to as well, but these are just really good situations to be in, knowing that you can take one hit from them and do a lot of damage to them back, some cases OHKOing them. So now for some of the checks and counters to your Volcanion. I should say a lot of these checks and counters are variable and can be worked around, especially because of the output power that Choice Specs Volcanion can do. For example, Rotom, as you see here, is a check and counter, but is 2-hit KO'd by your Steam Eruption, so that is something to keep in mind. But they are still checks and counters. So Latios and Latios, which are resistant to both your forms of stab and immune to your earth power, can be a bit of a problem. Crocoon, if it sets up with your Calm Mind, can be a bit of a problem too. It can't necessarily do that much back to you unless it has Toxic, so that is something to watch out for. Chansey is going to take a lot of your special hits and is 2-hit KO'd after Stealth Rocks by Superpower, so it isn't a complete counter, but can do some work. Raikou, which can revenge kill you if you're not running one of those reducing super effective berries. Lando T as well can Earthquake you, and Vaporeon, which is a really bulky water type, which does have access to a Heal Bell and Wish Protect, so it can stall you for days with toxicing you itself. Now for some good team options. So you're going to want to run Weavile because it can Pursuit Trap the Lottie Twins, and it's a good OCO and guarantee to 4x super effective mons like Garchomp, Gliscor, and Dragonite. Rotom because it can paralyze foes and burn them, which can slowly whittle down, which allow Volcanion to, pick them off and potentially sweep. Ferrothorns because it has really good synergy, Ferrothorn being weak to fire most commonly, which Volcanion can switch into for days, and Volcanion being weak to electric, rock, and ground, which Ferrothorn also has a really good time switching into. Latios and Latios because they provide healing wish support if your Volcanion gets too low, and they can bring it back up and allow Volcanion to put in a lot more work, and it can also defog hazards away, which Volcanion really doesn't like, being weak to Stealth Rocks. Thunderous, which is immune to ground, which Volcanion doesn't like, can take some relatively weak electric hits, and can Thunder Wave your opponent's mons with the Prankster ability, giving Volcanion more room to set up and sweep. Starmie because I'm gonna say there are gonna be a lot more Volcanions running around right now, and Starmie can take your water hits and your fire hits, and Starmie has access to Thunderbolt, so if it chooses to run that now, which I predict is gonna happen a lot more, just to handle Volcanions. And of course Starmie can Rapid Twin hazards away, which Volcanion doesn't like. Same with Excadrill, can also spin away hazards, and has that Stab Earthquake, which can handle other rock types that Volcanion might not be able to handle. And there's my guide for Volcanion, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. I hope you learned something that you might want to try on Showdown for yourself. Of course, Volcanion just came out, so a lot of these sets are going to be tested, and hopefully we'll see how they work. But hope you guys enjoyed watching. That's the main thing. And if you did like the video, don't forget to drop a like. That'd be dope. And subscribe so you don't miss out on any other future guides coming on the channel. Above all that, I hope you guys are having a good day. Thanks for watching. MegaLugia here, checking out. Peace.